Hello my brethren, I hope you're all well. This video is going to be an unpopular one, so fuck about being very MGTOW correct about this and let's just jump straight into it. So I have been a part in a conversation in a podcast last night and we were discussing about making a difference and increasing our ranks. And a great suggestion was put forward by Getge in a discussion last night. The way to destroy gynocentrism, which he viewed as gynophilia, is to promote masculinity and androphilia. An easy way to do this is to increase the ranks of MGTOW. But there we come across the disease called MGTOW. And if you have randomly cruised along to my channel, make no wrong assumptions here. I am MGTOW and I'm proud of it. But we need to accept some hard truths. We, as a group, may be full of freethinkers, honest men, experienced men, men of all ages from teenagers to really old men. We might even be edgy and our words might burn into the ears of all the everyday people, but what we are not is approachable. We're not mainstream, and all the power to us. But, and hear me out here, there is a problem with that. A long time ago I saw a patient in clinic, a patient completely devastated. He was clinically depressed and he was very suicidal. He was taken at the cleaners by his ex-wife who took away his daughter and son and left him with nothing. She cheated on him and wrecked him financially and emotionally and left him at a state of a low mood, low self-esteem and a constant suicidal ideation. The medications were not working for him. He was trialed on absolutely everything, including all the traditional and non-traditional drugs at high and low doses alike. And other than some mild improvement in his sleeping patterns, nothing pretty much changed. Psychological and social approaches were still tried, but at no avail. His suicidal thoughts were constant, and I was sure that at some point this man would be just another statistic, and his children wouldn't even notice. Now, for this man, all that was left as a safety net were his children. Children that he may have seen a couple of hours once or twice a month. And they have started to reject him because he wasn't seeing them as much and because his wife was coaching them. Now, at this point in my head, the idea of MGTOW was shining quite bright. So I suggested to him, have you tried looking online for any communities that might help you and address some of these issues that you might be having? He said that he did a bit of research and he found some of the websites filled with misogyny and accusations towards women. He found that men were cursing and accusing these poor females and he could not handle it. So he never stayed on these websites for any prolonged period of time. Now, there was a man who was absolutely destroyed. And he had almost no reason left to live. But he could not get help because he couldn't face the fact that he might be seen to be associated with misogynists. This was a man that found words that were rational and irrational alike on the website to be covered in the realm of hate towards women. And this website, I later found out, was a very moderate one. A very moderate one. So imagine this man's shock if he came across MGTOW. A lot of the people in the community have been here for years and they have gotten used to the lingo. There is a lot of men in this MGTOW community that are going through the stages of anger, rage, depression and acceptance, but for the rest of the world, what's happening here, it's just not normal. I know what you're thinking, so what? Fuck them. I mean, I'm thinking of the same thing, but I get them, I understand them. And in many parts, a lot of you guys have been red-pilled for so long, and all the power to you for that, but you have actually forgotten what it was like to be before that. I mean, a lot of us spend so much time in this sphere that we forget what it's like to be out there in the real world. And this is wrong. And we need to remember that. I mean, we need to remember because what we appear, to the outside world is a disease, a disorder. And I know, I hear you, fuck them, but listen to me. Back in the day when you were unaware of MGTOW, you were at a state of sleep. You were completely unaware of these concepts that we discuss in MGTOW. You were unaware that you were not considered a human being, but you were rather a human doing. You were unaware that you were disposable. You were unaware that you were a second-class citizen. You were unaware of all of these things. I know that when you look back, it feels like a small span of time, but it's actually a long time ago. It was a long time ago when you came across MGTOW. And all these concepts inside of you, they took a a long time to settle in. And then you were able to listen to the content and to understand it and appreciate it. Before that, there was simply misogyny. All the talks, all the content was simply misogyny. I think of most MGTOW content as valuable and valid, but it seems to me that a lot of people who come across MGTOW, they seem to use it just for entertainment. And the entertainment we provide is hate, it is anger, it is extreme views at all sides. And don't get me wrong, when I first got to MGTOW, that was all that I was watching. And every now and then, I mean now, my appetite still flows towards that path. It does tend to go towards those things. But we have to understand that we start to sound like the feminist when we say that that's not all MGTOW. That's not what most MGTOW believe. Not all MGTOW are like that. And MGTOW is about healing and about men. I mean, to the outside world, any absence of a woman from any space, it is seen as suspicious. They're thinking, why are all these people not allowing the women in? Do they hate them or something? And all it takes is one video and instantly the whole movement is seen as just that. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that MGTOW is, and it can be, but misogyny is not one of them. But it is a big part of the content. It is. I mean, whether we want to call it truth or not, anger associated with a distinct distaste towards women with no evidence or acceptance of their nature, because it is just judged on our moral standards, and at times rightly so, it is interpreted as misogyny. Any views that show female true nature as nothing more than ethereal and godlike, it will be seen as misogyny by the outside world. And it makes people ignore everything else that we say. It is as if I made a big speech about racism and I used the word nigger. It will ring in your ears. You will see me as racist and you will have a hard time concentrating. Snap out of it, by the way. That was an example that I felt very uncomfortable using, but so be it. I think it proves the point. Now, other than entertainment, that sort of content serves as a shock factor to people who are susceptible to the idea. And you would think that the people that would be susceptible to the idea would simply be people who have been through the grinder and are able to see that, there is an element of truth in what we're saying. But there is also people who have not gone through a lot. There is people who were simply curious and were looking for answers, so they were willing to put up with it. And eventually they started enjoying it. But it is that sort of content, the purely shocking content, that I think is the disease of MGTOW. It exists and it serves a function, but it's there and it infects all of the content. It only takes one and we're all seen as misogynist. It only takes one mention of the word cunt and we're all in the same boat. This is not because we're misogynists, although some of us are, but because people make generalizations and they put us all in the same boat. To the outside world, we look as a bunch of intolerant, immature, misogynistic scum. And that is the problem that we have trying to grow our ranks. That is why a lot of us keep our identity hidden. Is it because we are ashamed? I don't think we are, but I think what we say, the unfiltered truth, the anger that we display, would have been impossible if there was no anonymity initially. Because what we're saying is politically incorrect. We know that the waters we're treading are dangerous, and yet we continue. I mean, I personally continue because I believe we do more good than harm. I believe that this type of content is how we keep females from invading this space, and for the most part, this kind of locker room talk is what achieves that. However, we need to understand that this is the main reason why people do not come to MGTOW. This is the main reason that we are seen more as a disease rather than a movement, because of all of these things. Yet we're still growing, which means the men who are ready do listen to the message and do join in. But this message will never be mainstream. This message will never reach the ears of a Hollywood star, and he will just come out and say that he's MGTOW because of the fallout. I mean, we can hope that will happen, that maybe someone who really doesn't give a fuck might just say that. But as long as we have that type of content out there, this will never go away. And I'm not suggesting that this type of content needs to go. I think it protects this space from being overrun by females who have already started invading it. And we need to understand that this type of message will make it difficult to pass the message on to your friends and to your colleagues or advertise it around. Moreover, even people who you have known for years find it difficult to listen to you. Any absence of female from a space is seen with suspicion. Any critic of the feminine is seen as evil. Any type of descriptive language, the one with adjectives appropriate to describe said behaviors, is seen as misogyny. To be fair, any and all of the above are seen as misogyny, and we're seen as patriarchal, chauvinistic pigs. That cannot be helped, but that is the reason why even your close friends will have trouble understanding why you associate with the MGTOW label. They might think that you have gone a bit insane or that you have been hurt so bad that you can no longer see any sense. The rationalization hamster is running strong, and we need to understand that. There is videos that are stepping stones to MGTOW. I personally use Spetsnaz the disposable male, and other people have suggested Stardust man the self-loathing, and Barbarossa the post-feminism man. And I'm going to link these videos in the description below if you guys want to use them. And I understand that there is a lot of other things that we can use, such as articles and websites such as MGTOW.com, but they do not circumvent the already established rationalizations for these people. It is like attempting to change someone's view on religion. It is simply not going to happen through simply displaying logical facts. That only occurs to people who are primed to it. There is an emotional aspect that needs to be engaged, and men who are discouraged from feeling things, so that angle is also proving quite difficult. I believe this is why we're seen as a disease. We're even viewed as a disease within the manosphere. We're seen as a bunch of guys who have given up and have nothing better to do than bash women all day. That is the reason why everyone who makes a video about MGTOW has a negative view about us. All it takes is one video from one individual and that's it. We have no control of the content, and nor should we, but we need to understand that if you're viewed as diseased, no one will come to you, because they might also get the disease. So yes, my brothers, we're viewed as a disease, and as a movement, although we are growing, we will always be seen as hateful and misogynistic. And that's because, in essence, we are that in our videos. And don't tell me we're not. We are. I mean, when we are in full-on rage mode, we are. And that rage anger cycle actually lasts for a long time until acceptance, hopefully sometime at some point, sets in. And this is the problem. We're basically the problem. And I don't know what we can do to address this. I don't know if there is something we can do to address this. But we should never wonder as to why we're not growing our ranks as fast as we should. MGTOW is a very difficult concept to understand. And if the manosphere has a problem grasping who we are and where we stand, imagine how difficult it is for the rest of the blue-pilled world. I don't know if you guys have any suggestions. I'm willing to take any suggestions here with this problem at hand. Share with me your views in the comment section below, and let's see if there is something that we can do about this. Thank you very much for listening. This was Nikuchowski talking about all things man. Please like, share, and of course subscribe to my channel for more updates.